which is more like kind of reductio absurdum, where you are not so much trying to, you are not so much using reason to affirm something, but rather you are concerned more with showing internal inconsistency within a particular opponent's standpoint. Whereas Madhyamaka Svatrantikas tend to use much more syllogistic type of reasoning to establish kind of some form of positions. And so, given this difference, there is also a fundamental difference between Bhava-viveka and Chantakritti about how our sensory perceptions perceive sort of material objects. To Bhava-viveka, when a visual sort of perception arises, insofar as the appearance of the objective entity is concerned, there is an element of sort of validity there, because Bhava-viveka accepts that things do possess a degree of objectivity which is then projected onto the perception, which is totally rejected by Madhyamaka Prasangika school of Chantakritti. So on this basis we know that the central point of sort of difference between the two Madhyamaka schools is whether or not one accepts any idea of intrinsicness.
So today in this ane ngaranzo mixo ge shebali ya ane yu kang na ya ane dir tandine yebe rangsen chulu tala tene chu sheba ma do mo chu me si ya de chu yin si ya de ja zang ga tandine du be nang ge ya de na na si ya ma re si 단 뒤도 상상을 담이나 말아서 차단으로 깨 있잖아요. 차단으로 깨 있잖아요. 차단께서 유대 담버 다 담버 메시는 담버는 게 어디 다 안데 디세브 차사와.
The reason why understanding of this subtle point is important is that if one were to relate this point to one's own personal experience, then we can see that when strong emotions arise in us, say a strong attachment or anger, if we examine the sort of the experience of that emotion, we will see that there is underlying that strong emotional response to a particular object or event. There is an assumption that there is something objective, something real out there to which you are holding on, and to which you project qualities of desirability or qualities of kind of undesirability, something that is either attractive or unattractive, and based on what kind of qualities that you project, you feel either attracted to it or you feel repulsed by it. So underlying this strong emotional response is an assumption there is something out there, there is some kind of objective reality, some kind of objective entity with almost like kind of an existential status or being some kind of absolute, some kind of real object. However, if you understand that through your understanding of emptiness, that there is nothing intrinsic, there is no intrinsic reality to things and events, then of course this will automatically give you the understanding that even these emotions, strong emotions, no matter how real and strong they seem, they are baseless. They have no valid ground, they have no valid basis. And once you understand that they are based upon a sort of a fundamental misknowledge or misconception, then the emotions themselves becomes baseless and untenable. Whereas if your understanding of emptiness is not thorough in the sense that it hasn't succeeded in negating any notion of intrinsicness, then of course your attitude towards that kind of emotion will not be the same, because you may feel that that kind of emotion is in some sense valid or justified.
So that 차당을 놓게야겠다. 차당을 놓게야 돼. 심어르디 다 유 동번이기다. 동번이 그 소리. 고아로 야고 샤베이나 디 유근 나다들이 인구 열에서 버지 로리야 또 샤레이나 아니 신의 르 차당 그렇게도 하도 아니 이모션 쑥하고 깨베 그돌이야. 아니 르 지나로 그래서 다도 저 것도는 직도 셰트야시도.
So once you have developed certain understanding intellectually, so once you have developed a certain understanding of emptiness, be it intellectual understanding, you will have a certain kind of outlook, a certain kind of orientation towards things and events. And then you can compare that to your own natural responses to events or objects, and see how, to a very large degree, a very large extent, often we tend to project things, qualities, or things on the objective world, or on the world, and especially we realize that much of the strong emotions that we feel arises from an assumption in something that is unreal, something that is baseless. And so through this way, you may be able to experientially gain some kind of sense that there is a gap, there is a disparity between the way you perceive things and where things really are.
다 근데 인도산에 누몽기 릭디디 아니 갑자기 참아매 돼 봐. 갑자기 참아매 돼 봐지. 차이야래. 누몽기 진베 진단텔레 딱다베 친줄로 진단 딱다베 친줄로 인정해 지기 다음에 더 싫었어야지 기하여 돼 봐. 다음에 더 싫었어야 되면 불지여 돼 봐. 다 니부디 지게 다도 셴 지게 다 매버 셴댕에 니부디 뭐부 찍려면에 진당 뭐가도 여다 인도산에 로 니부디 너전너지 친다지 싸우잖아 너전너지 침배 원에 잡된 거 참아 입을로디 겁나 공부 슉슉 드라이 되지다 잡된 참아 매댕에디 아니 공부 가서다 슉슉 드라이 매되지 디니 원에 된진 슉충 로트야디 디선에 샤도.
So from all of this, the conclusion that we can draw, or the morale that we can draw from all of this, is the fact that much of our strong emotions, the emotions that afflict our mind, arises from a fundamental state of confusion, which tends to apprehend things as real and things as intrinsically existent or independent. And so we know that these emotions, these afflictive emotions and thoughts, have no valid support, neither in our experience, nor in reality, or nor in reason. In contrast, there is, your insight into the emptiness of things is not only grounded in reason, but also it is grounded in your experience. And there is a valid support. Not only that, but your understanding of emptiness and your grasping at things as real and intrinsic, they are directly opposite to each other. So one harms the other, one destroys the other. And given that they are both opposing forces, given that one lacks any valid support or grounding, whereas the other has, valid grounding in our experience and reason and reality. So the conclusion we can draw from here is that the more we develop our understanding of emptiness, the more we deepen our understanding of emptiness, the greater the power of that insight becomes. It can be enhanced. The more we see through the deception of these emotions, the weaker the force of emotion can become. So the conclusion we can draw is that the strong afflictive emotions and thoughts and their basis, which is this fundamental ignorance, are something that can be minimized, that can be weakened,